Hello YouTubers, this is the Noobifier and welcome to a brief video that's a follow-up on a product review that I did a couple months ago. Let's first start with a backstory. Before the new year, VIRPIL, a Belarusian game controller company, released a match set of dual joysticks and they asked me if I'd like to review them. At the time I did a series of 3 videos on their product line and something very interesting came of it. Switching over from the linear consistent resistance of a Thrustmaster Warthog to a VIRPIL MT50 took some getting used to. I've flown many hours over the course of a year with the Thrustmaster controllers. When I first tested the VIRPIL, I initially disliked the experience. Things were not looking good. I spoke with several friends who had higher quality sticks trying to make sense of it. Most told me that the out-of-the-box experience shouldn't really be expected to fulfill my needs. They said that higher caliber controllers ship with a choice of cams and springs for a reason. I spent some time performing trials and testing to ensure that my controllers best suited my expectations. That resulted in a how-to video explaining step-by-step how to change cams and springs on a VIRPIL MT50 base. So the reason we're here today is that even though VIRPIL originally offered 3 choices of cams, they went a step beyond, took our direct feedback, and then created a 4th cam geared towards us, the Space Sim fans. The cam is called the CosmoSim and it was designed to provide that flat profile that I was originally expecting. Aircraft flight sim pilots usually want a more progressive resistance. The further you apply deflection, the more force it takes, just like an airplane. The MT50 bases ship with Cam 2 installed, a flight sim-inspired curve. Cam 1, the light blue line, has the flattest curve and a hard bump in the center. The bump ensures that the dead zone is pretty deliberate, but it grabs with a thump as you cross from one quadrant to the other. Cam 2 is the red line, which has a more aggressive curve and a milder center bump. Cam 3 is the yellow line. This one has the most aggressive curve that requires the greatest force towards the extremities. It also has almost no center bump. Originally, after all of my testing, I installed and used Cam 1 despite the deliberate clicky center bump. I enjoyed its flat curve, but I compromised a little bit because I found the center detent a little bit harsher than I wanted. It turns out that it's highly personal and your personal taste could favor any of the other cams. I'd thought about grinding a set of donor cams flatter. When I looked closely at the cam's surface, I decided that my tooling and skill level were probably not up to the task. The CosmoSim cam now provides me the closest profile to what I originally wanted. It's flat and precise, with a generally uniform resistance spread. Its omission of a hard center bump is very helpful when tracking targets, as I no longer have to fight the stick as I cross over. I was originally concerned about drifting when idle, but I experienced none of it after a quick calibration within Windows. If you experience this, simply adding some dead zone would correct the issue. There was a minimal variation at the 4 corners which I was able to tune out with a little bit more tension. As I deflect away from the center, the force now remains the same right to the edge of travel. VIRPIL's customer service on this matter was pretty uncommon. Ultimately, it's fine for companies to create what they feel that we want, but in the face of feedback like this, it's critical that changes are made where possible. I believe that the CosmoSim cams with mild springs under tension will remain my personal configuration, and I appreciate the opportunity to review them and give you my thoughts. So now I'm going to close out with a teaser. VIRPIL has announced 3 unique products coming our way. A throttle for those of you that wish to run a conventional HOTAS. A lower profile gimbal option meant for surface mount called the Warbird, and the eagerly awaited Constellation Delta Grip, which offers analog thumbsticks, analog wheels, and a Z-axis. Using 2 in a conventional dual-stick configuration will have enough binding options for up to 10 degrees of freedom. I plan to review these 3 new products for you once they become available to the public in the very near future. It's always been a priority of mine to showcase the gear that makes the difference. A big thank you to VIRPIL for reacting to our feedback. Stay tuned for more, fly safe, and I'll see you in the verse.